What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Voltage and Villains. Today we'll be covering the case of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, the victim and the criminal.
Oh, so she did the crime and she was the victim of a crime? Of the same crime?
Of a crime. Not the same crime, but a crime.
Ooh, okay.
Yes, it's a very twisted case. What would you do if everything you thought you knew about yourself was false? Imagine growing up thinking you had leukemia, muscular dystrophy, seizures, only to realize you were never really sick.
That's wild. She wasn't sick at all?
No.
That's some bullshit.
And the worst part, your mom made it all up.
Oh, snap.
Today we're diving in to the shocking and disturbing case of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. So let's start out with Gypsy Rose's mom, Dee Dee Blanchard. She was originally from Louisiana, and Dee Dee and Gypsy lived in Louisiana until Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina hit. They became devastated by the floodings, by the hurricane, so they started seeking for help. So Dee Dee presented herself to be a selfless single mother. Dee Dee claimed that Gypsy was severely ill. She had mental development delays, seizures, muscular dystrophy, leukemia, sleep apnea, epilepsy, all of these crazy diseases. She relocated to Springfield, Missouri, thanks to the help of a well-known charity, Habitat for Humanity. They built a house. They call it the Pink House for Gypsy. They built a accessibility ramp on it because Gypsy was on a wheelchair because of her muscular dystrophy. Dee Dee claims that after Hurricane Katrina, all of Gypsy's records, medical records, were destroyed. So because of her medical records being destroyed, she claimed that her daughter had like all of these diseases. Leukemia.
Wait. So before they moved, she was claiming that she had all this?
Yes, it was before.
So before they moved from Louisiana, her mom Dee Dee said that Gypsy had all these diseases. But then in Katrina, all her medical records got destroyed. So when she moved over to Missouri, she was able to start a new life and basically say, "Hey, here's all the things that she has."
Yes.
And then people were like giving her money.
And that's how they got the house built for them by Habitat for Humanity.
Oh my gosh.
The Pink House.
Wow.
Also, Dee Dee reportedly used different variations and spellings of Gypsy's name over the years, and seemed to be very convinced that Gypsy suffered several illnesses. So a lot of people are like, hold on, like, what? You're using different names. You're claiming there's no medical records after Hurricane Katrina. You're getting free stuff. You're getting help from the government. You're getting help from charities. She got help from Make-A-Wish. She got free trips to Disney World because Gypsy was so sick.
Wow.
So, Dee Dee seemed like an angel. Behind the scenes, she was orchestrating this whole thing, but to everyone it was like she's a hero.
How the hell was she? So she faked this Gypsy's entire life? How the hell was she able to do that? She must have been drugging her or something.
So Dee Dee has a mental illness. The mom has a mental illness called Munchausen Syndrome by Proxy, which is now known as fictitious disorder imposed by another. So essentially, the mom has this syndrome, this mental illness where she's imposing these sicknesses on Gypsy.
What the heck?
So if let's say you're feeling my chest hurts, but you're just out of breath or something. You just ran. I'm like, oh my God, you're having a heart attack.
Yeah.
And every time you don't feel well, I'm completely dragging it and sort of convincing you that you have these severe illnesses.
What? So that's actually a disease. That's a disorder that people have, where they do that often.
People have a disorder like that when it's for themselves. So some people drag their medical conditions.
Yeah.
And then there's dragging medical conditions for
other people.
Yes.
Yo, wouldn't that be
Dee
wild if a doctor had that?
Oh my goodness,
a doctor went to school and then that I had no idea that was actually a disease that people can have. Yeah. Or a disorder.
Yeah, it's a really...
Because at the end of the day, doctors and nurses, medical professionals, they're human beings at the end of the day. They're going to have disorders, right? So how would you know if... imagine you had that disorder and you always wanted to be a doctor because you have that disorder and you want to solve people's cases. Then you actually go through... You're so determined, you actually go... get the degree, everything, and now you become a doctor or a medical professional, and then that disorder still manifests through your work slightly, so you are over-diagnosing people.
Crazy.
Like, that's wild. Like, now that I know that, I'm a little paranoid.
Yes, you should. Anyone should
New
be.
fear unlocked.
Because everyone can get into medical school as long as you pass all the tests and do everything.
As long as you're driven enough.
Yeah. So
that's enough to drive you.
Oh my goodness. So Munchausen Syndrome by proxy is the mental illness where a caregiver fakes or causes an illness in someone they care for. Oftentimes it's found in parents because children are very vulnerable. And they do it to gain attention, sympathy, and control. Oftentimes there's other benefits to it like money and free things, but oftentimes it's like a very control freak type of thing. She over the years she subjected Gypsy to unnecessary things like feeding tubes, surgeries, like mouth surgeries. There was a time and point where Gypsy had no teeth.
No teeth? She knocked out all of her teeth.
Yes.
This woman is pure evil.
Doctors later admitted that Dee Dee did seem too well prepared. So, she went to the doctor and she was like, I think my daughter has this. And it's not on some like, I think she might have this, but can you confirm? No. She was like, she has this sickness and you have to confirm. So she was very adamant. She was very adamant and insistent on the diagnosis. Later on, a lot of doctors came out, and one doctor had said that he believed that Dee Dee did have Munchausen syndrome by proxy, but it wasn't said. And over the years, it was noted that they went to over 150 doctors.
So she was doctor shopping.
Yes, she was.
Which I think is against the law.
Is it?
I think doctor shopping for like pills and stuff is against the law, but I definitely think if you're faking illnesses, going to a bunch of different doctors, like I think they can charge you with something for that, like doctor shopping.
That's interesting.
Because then you're getting medications that you don't need and stuff, and like you could be using that medication to actually distribute to people who are abusing them. So
also doctors started to really write their diagnoses. They were like, look, like we found no evidence that Gypsy has these sicknesses, that she's this sick. And Diddy kind of didn't like that. And it got to a point where one of the doctors ended up calling the authorities on them. So they had like
rightfully so
CPS on them on their case. And CPS bought it. They were like, oh.
CPS went to the house and was like, nah, this girl's actually sick.
This girl's actually sick.
Well, I mean, if she's drugging her and having her take surgeries, then you are deteriorating her body over time. And eventually she is sick with something.
Right.
Fucked up shit, man.
So essentially because of like getting all that attention, they would, like we said, shop around. And she would like avoid any doctors who seemed a little too suspicious of her. She would be like, like she would try to be in the room when Gypsy was with the doctors. Sometimes the doctors go, well, I just want to talk to your child alone. Like,
she'd be like, no.
She'd be like, no.
No, she can't talk to you alone. She has to have me because she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yep. So some of the things that Gypsy was diagnosed with, which is a long list, I'm not going to lie, is leukemia, muscular dystrophy, asthma, epilepsy, sleep apnea, hearing and vision impairment, developmental delays, which is like intellectual disabilities, like you can't learn or you can't read or things like that. And I believe there was a point where Gypsy couldn't do some sort of like math or like reading. Yeah. So she was like really like held back.
I want to know how many of those did she actually have?
So Gypsy actually only had mild vision issues. So, one of those like I can't see from far away type of things. She also had a slight physical weakness in one leg, which is fixable.
That she was born with? Or just
a weakness in one leg. Okay. Something that's like fixable and correctable with like strength training exercises. And she had no sort of cognitive delays. So she was perfectly healthy.
So all she needed was some glasses and some outdoor exercise.
Yep.
In which she was being denied.
And because of the muscular dystrophy, she was forced into a wheelchair. Like we said before, she also had her teeth removed.
Which would make the muscular atrophy worse.
Yes.
Crazy.
Exactly. And Dee Dee also did tell Gypsy, like, she can't walk outside. So Gypsy knew she could walk, but she couldn't walk outside in the street, like when they were in public. She could only walk inside at home. And she would oftentimes beat her for, like, doing things that are a little too extra, like walking or running or making it, like, a little too obvious to the outside that you can walk. Yes.
That is, like, the worst form of abuse. That's kidnap at this point.
No, it is. It is, because obviously as Gypsy started to age, she got curious. She started to wonder, like, am I really sick? Like, you know, things that you start to question when you're that age. And around 2011, Gypsy had a runaway attempt. Gypsy tried to run away to be with a man she met at a convention, at a like comic convention. Dee Dee destroyed Gypsy's phone and computer and chained her to a bed and placed bells on the door.
Yeah.
So that if Gypsy ever left,
Yeah.
she would hear.
Yeah. That's prison.
Around 19, obviously that's around the time that she tries to run away. But she would also be on the computer. She would also be on the internet, you know, early internet times.
Yeah.
So Gypsy was born 1991. So this was probably like 2010.
Okay.
So around 2010.
So the internet was not as big yet.
Yes. Or as controlled or as like
Yeah.
wide as it is now. It was like
Yeah.
very like.
Damn, that reminds me. Now that I think about it, like in 2008, when I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos, YouTube was like brand new.
Yes.
Like YouTube had just only been in its had just had its conception only 2 years before, right? And it's like, yeah, and Google was around for quite some time, but like I don't remember just going to Google for like at the drop of a dime, like going to all these search engines and stuff back then and getting all the proper information that I would have liked to have gotten if I was in her predicament.
There was also access to different things during that time. Like the internet was like less controlled, so you could do crazier things, like access to certain sites like porn was really prominent, and dating sites and all that stuff was like uncontrolled.
Yeah.
So even if like a kid was using it,
they wouldn't know.
Do
yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. They'll ask you what year were you born? 1988.
Yeah. You could just lie.
You'd be 5.
You know? So literally, that's the time that Gypsy was using the internet. So around that time, she got on a Christian dating website and she met a guy named Nicholas Godejohn. Also, around this time, like we said, she discovered she could walk. She wasn't allergic to sugar like her mom said she was.
Her mom said she was allergic to sugar?
Yes.
That's not a bad lie.
No.
That's not that bad of a lie.
It's
like that has to be the only lie that she told her daughter that I completely agree. Like I would not mind lying and saying that, hey, you're allergic to sugar. It's a super processed sugar. Natural sugars, you're not allergic to, because in a way you technically are allergic.
But how do you distinguish natural sugars though?
Like no. So like
and how do you explain that to a kid? You know what I'm saying? Natural
sugars, things that come from fruit, like sugar that when you bite into a strawberry and it's sweet. Okay, that sugar you're not allergic to because it's natural. The processed sugar, like the sugar that's on Skittles and Frosted Flakes and soda, you are allergic to.
But then they're gonna have a question as to how, because kids have questions.
Because it's not natural. Because like as a human being, you are allergic.
So then they're going to start to wonder, am I allergic to everything that's not natural?
No.
You see where that like
in a way,
it just leads down this weird curiosity path.
In a way it depends. It depends. In a way it depends. Because it's kind of like this, right? Like cow milk. You're not allergic to like mom's milk because you are a human and that is human milk. But like you are allergic to cow milk. Everyone is allergic to cow milk.
Yes.
But it's on a spectrum.
Right.
Exactly. And it manifests in different ways. Some people get acne and they think that it's just hormonal, but it's actually hormonal plus the
milk,
the bacteria that's in the milk, things like that.
That's true.
So like,
but also like I don't think like lying to kids is good, because like once they really find out, they kind of like go overboard. And that's what happened with Gypsy. Like Gypsy always told her, like her mom always told her, hey, you're allergic to sugar. And Gypsy started drinking like Coke and eating candy and doing the stuff late at night.
But she was doing it experimentally because her mom also told her that she was super sick, and she wasn't. She started to find out that she wasn't.
Also, this is how Gypsy ended up getting her teeth removed, because she would drink the sodas and not brush her teeth.
Oh, because she already brushed her teeth for the night, probably, and then went and...
Yes. She didn't understand the importance of brushing your teeth, because that sugar is not good for you. So that's how she ended up getting all her teeth removed, because she didn't know that that's what it was.
But exactly, because her mom, all right, but it's different though. Her mom was telling her, hey, you're sick, you have a bunch of these things, and you're allergic to sugar. Not, hey, you're a human being, you're naturally kind of allergic to this super processed sugar, meaning the sugar decays your teeth. The sugar hurts your blood alcohol level. I mean, not your blood alcohol, your blood sugar levels. Things like that.
That's
you know,
true.
and like you can get diabetes, you can lose your
Yes,
leg.
that's
Like,
true.
I feel like that, but because she was doing this whole fake narrative of how sick she was,
Right.
she didn't need to explain all that. She just said, "Hey, you're allergic to it, so don't do it," which is the negative part. But I don't know. I digress.
I just don't want to necessarily agree.
I digress.
So, you know, once Dee Dee started realizing she'd been lied to her whole life, she kind of just started doing whatever she wanted to. And it got to a point where a family member had seen Gypsy walking. And the family member started to question Gypsy, to question Dee Dee. They were like, what the heck?
Like, how sick is your daughter actually?
Is she really sick because she's walking and you're saying she can't walk? So, you know, her entire childhood was damn near fabricated. Plus, she didn't know her dad. Her mom lied to her about her dad. Her mom told Dee Dee told Gypsy that her dad just, I believe she said that he left them. But in reality, it was he left because Dee Dee was like sick. She had issues. She had control problems.
She was okay.
So she never really got a chance to connect with her dad.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that end up not having a parent in their life, and the other parent just lies and says, no, they just don't want you. When in actuality, it's like, no, they just didn't want you. They didn't want to be around you. They had no problem with me. They had a problem with you.
With you. Yeah. Exactly. So around October 2012, Gypsy starts chatting with Nicholas Godejohn on a Christian dating app. And their chats rated from being PG and Christian-like to a little wild. Like, a little crazy. You know, and get a little freaky in there. Apparently, Nicholas Godejohn had a documented history of mental illnesses.
Oh my
he had
God.
bipolar disorder, and he had a alter ego named Victor, who was violent.
Victor.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Victor. But Gypsy didn't know any of this until much later on, until after everything went down. Gypsy was so in love with Nicholas, and she felt so safe with him that she shared that her mom was abusing her. And Nicholas obviously became worried. He wanted to do something for Gypsy. So Gypsy felt safe. So Gypsy described Nicholas as her soulmate. She really felt like this is it for me. And she wanted her mother's approval. She wanted her mom to approve of Nicholas because she was so in love. And in March 2015, Gypsy and Nicholas Godejohn met for the first time at a movie theater. Gypsy was able to kind of like elaborate a little plan where her and her mom would go see Cinderella and the Prince Charming movie at the movie theaters. And she secretly ended up meeting with Nicholas Godejohn.
How the hell was she able to pull that off? So, like, she just snuck out of the movie theater?
Yeah, she told her mom, I have to go use the restroom or something. The story goes something like that, like, I have to go use the restroom. And Nicholas was just waiting outside.
And she just met up with Nicholas?
Yes.
And just chilled with him for a bit?
And just chilled with him for a bit, and then went back. And her mom was like, are you okay? You took a long time. And she was like, yeah, I'm fine. My stomach really hurt.
That is fucking wild.
And then as they were leaving the movie theater, Nicholas was right there. And he wanted to meet her mom. He wanted to, you know?
What type of creepy, freaky shit?
Yep. And Gypsy wanted to get her approval of Nicholas.
Yeah.
But when that didn't work, Gypsy was like, well, I guess my only best option now is to kill my mom.
Break it off with Nicholas.
Whoa.
Wait, to do what?
To kill my mom.
That's the plan that she came up with?
Yep.
Whoa.
Yep.
Now, hold on. At this point, though, is she thinking, I want to kill my mom because of all the stuff that I know that she did? Or is it a combination of that and the Nicholas thing? Or is it primarily the Nicholas thing that's
It's a combination of both. It's a combination of...
No, I'm saying, all right, that's good. Because, like, if it was just straight up the Nicholas thing, I'd be like, yeah, you're crazy.
Yeah,
but, like,
that's wild.
That's wild.
But no, it's a combination
there's other
of both.
reasons that you might want to kill your mom for, not because she doesn't approve of your fucking
boyfriend.
psychotic online boyfriend.
Right.
Which most parents would not approve of.
Heck no.
I mean, even if they don't know that homeboy's psychotic, it's like,
Yeah.
yo, you met him on where?
Right. Especially
And
at that
what
time.
year is this?
Right. That's like 20... Right.
Pack this up.
Right. So, yeah. Essentially, you know, she was like my only best option now to get away from this lady and to be able to be with my soulmate is to kill my mom.
That is
and the
fucking
two,
wild.
And both Nicholas and Gypsy began planning Dee Dee's murder.
Oh, they were dead ass.
Oh, yeah, they were very
Oh,
serious.
shit.
They exchanged messages.
I forgot this is a true crime podcast.
Yes. They exchanged messages and fantasies for a long time and eventually came up with the plan. On June 9th, 2015,
Oh, God.
Nicholas went to Springfield, Missouri, where Gypsy and Dee Dee lived. Gypsy gave him duct tape gloves, and a knife. And while Dee Dee slept, Nicholas crept in the house and stabbed her 17 times.
Damn. R.I.P. Dee Dee.
While Nicholas Godejohn was killing her mom, Gypsy hid in the bathroom. She wanted no parts. She did not want to see it. And according to Gypsy, they had sex at the house before taking a cab to where Nicholas Godejohn was staying. They enjoyed each other's company for a few days at the motel, then took a bus to Wisconsin, where Godejohn lived. And before taking that trip, they mailed the knife they used to kill Dee Dee Blanchard from Springfield to Wisconsin.
Wait, they mailed the knife?
Yes.
To his house?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
What?
Yep.
Why?
I guess so they wouldn't have the proof on them. I don't know. I don't know.
I am bewildered. Okay, continue.
Yes, I don't know.
That is.
I don't. It doesn't add up where that would make sense.
I don't know.
I guess when you're that age, when you're that naive, it in some sort of way.
Yeah,
it
let's
makes
not
sense.
have the murder weapon on us, but let's mail it to my house.
You know.
I mean, just throw it in a river at that point. Why do you even want to keep it at that point? If you don't want it on you when traveling, just, I don't know, chuck it in a river or something.
Right. I don't know.
There's way less chance of them finding it at that point than you mailing it to your house.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
And 5 days later, on June 14th, 2015, there was a post on Dee Dee's Facebook page saying, "That bitch is dead."
Wait, you mean the daughter's page, not Dee Dee?
No,
Dee Dee's mom.
Yeah, Dee Dee's Facebook page.
So they posted on the deceased mom's.
Yes.
What are they on?
That bitch is dead. People that Dee Dee knew, friends and family, they alerted the police, and of course, they went over to investigate
and packed them up.
Dee Dee, who was 48 at that time in 2015, was found dead in her home later that evening from fatal stab wounds. Investigators say it appeared she died days earlier. And also, Gypsy was nowhere to be found, but her wheelchair was left in the house. So people were more concerned because they were like, did they kidnap Gypsy? It's okay? Is everything okay? So the police did some groundwork, and they found out that the IP address to where the Facebook post was made from was from Godejohn's house.
Of course.
So, obviously the police were looking for them. And on June 15th, 2015, a day after they discovered the bodies, Nicholas Godejohn, who was 26 at that time, surrendered to the authorities. Police also found Gypsy, who was unharmed and could walk. And after further investigation, she was later arrested. And obviously, it was because Nicholas Godejohn confessed.
Yeah, and said, "Oh, hey, yeah."
Hey, yeah."
And I mean, at that point, it's not really snitching because, like, how would I have a reason to go kill her? Like, like we kind of did this together. I have no choice but to snitch on you if I'm confessing. Like, it's not like I can leave you out completely because then that would be wild. Because I would have to just seem like a psychotic person that I traveled. Either way, they're gonna find out because the digital footprint of us talking, like.
It's there.
So it's there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Gypsy and Nicholas were arrested and charged with murder within the 48 hours of discovering Gypsy's body.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because it does fit that 48-hour timeline.
Yeah, 48 hours. First 48
hours.
But not really because, like, they didn't discover her within 48 hours. They just discovered... They just were able to solve the whole crime in 48 hours. So
that's true.
Yeah.
So,
after discovering that a crime was committed.
In trial on April 2016, Gypsy's attorneys elected to not use an insanity defense in the case against, obviously, the government. And Gypsy pled guilty and she made a deal. She pleaded guilty to the second-degree murder of her mother. And by doing that, by pleading guilty, she avoided trial. Maybe she would have gotten more time if she did trial.
Yeah, most of the time you do get more time if you take it to trial.
Yep. She got a 10-year sentence, which is the minimum for a second-degree murder. She also became eligible for parole after 8.5 years. She would have the ability for parole after 8.5 years.
Okay.
Nicholas Godejohn, on the other hand, went to trial in 2018. He was found guilty of first-degree murder.
That's life.
Yep. He was sentenced to life in prison.
Yeah.
Without parole.
Without parole is crazy, though.
Yep.
Because even theoretically, he's like her savior from being kidnapped.
Right.
But also no. Because let's be honest. If you were able to come up with that elaborate plan at a movie theater and sneak away for quite some time, like, you could have also just snuck away and ran away with homeboy. Right. So, like, I think life, like, you just kind of just committed a straight up murder at that point.
Exactly.
Because if you could have thought of a plan to murder, you could have also just said, hey, how about we just meet up again? This time, bring your stuff. Yeah. I'm getting you out of there. Exactly. We're out. And then we'll report her to the authorities and we'll figure it out from there.
Gypsy did have multiple chances to run away. Gypsy ran away, tried to run away a few times, and her mom obviously beat her, chained her, stopped her, like mentally kind of like messed with her to not leave.
Yeah.
So Gypsy was released in December 28th, 2023. After serving 85% of her sentence. She married a man named Ryan Anderson while she was still in prison. And a few months, maybe a year after she got out, they divorced. She now has a kid with another man. Very interesting. She is an advocate for abuse survivors. She's very active on social media. But the public is still very concerned as to how they view her. They don't know whether to view her as the villain or the victim. Lastly, Nicholas Godejohn is still fighting for his life in trial. He's still trying to figure out how he can get out because they believe that it wasn't just him that came up with the plan. So Gypsy should probably serve more time.
Either my camera died, but either she should serve more time or he should serve a little bit less time.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, you can't go back and make her serve more time. So
yeah, and it's messed up. This whole situation is messed up, and that's why it's important to keep an eye out on like mental illnesses, mental diseases, and always like be aware of who you're with, even if it's your parents, which sometimes does suck. Sometimes that's not easy, you know?
Yeah, that's a pretty fucked up case.
Yes, where the victim is the criminal.
I'd be interested to see what happens to Nicholas, but I do think he's serving the right sentence. But I do think he should be eligible for some parole, because if he is mental, then he's a little mental.
Right.
So, I mean, he should get maybe a little bit of parole after 25 years. So I think that would be more fair because he was also saving somebody.
At the trial, the jury did not believe his mental plea. So it might be tough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, if you guys enjoyed this episode, like the video, share it with a friend. And if you are listening to us on Spotify or Apple, turn on automatic downloads and rate the show a 5 out of 5 if you enjoyed it. Okay.
Thank you.
Until next time, do good, be good, take care.
Bye.